The Dementors have returned.
We were bringing them back after the third film, Prisoner of Azkaban, so we had to incorporate some new ideas that David Yates had on how he wanted them to appear and act in the film.
David, in this instance, wanted them to be more physical, and they seemed a little more spectral in the previous movie.
And that gave us a big challenge there. They wanted to be able to see the bone through the cloth and actually see the wraps of cloth and actually understand that there's a skeleton underneath it. We had to make the tail longer. We had to change the cloth around. So they actually sent us physical maquettes of the Dementor with the redesigns on it. And then we further took that and really developed textures and things like that on top, because that's a little hard to get with the maquettes. That's kind of where we take off and start doing some more of our creative work.
There was a definite design change, but also a sort of a change in how the Dementors would behave. But one of the really important things with them is, obviously getting their sense of violence in them.
The Dementors are more dynamic, they're faster than before, where in the past they were really just kind of ominous and very slow. This time, they can come out and attack.
It's funny with the Dementor, they don't have a face. They don't even have lips. They're just this completely black, dark, covered up creature. So it's a real challenge to try and to get some features to show up in that model, because they have to look menacing, they have to look threatening, and in so many of these shots the head is just a black ball. So we did do some tricks with the interior of the mouth.
There's an opening now for the mouth, so you actually can kind of see into the mouth. And at one point we were talking about sucking some eyeballs in there, but that kind of went away. So they're basically faceless.
There's a little bit of subtle movement in the face to give them a little bit more character and personality.
The big thing was that the Dementors actually have the ability to have their cloth move and undulate and almost act as appendages. As the Dementor moves around, you can see the pieces of cloth almost have a mind of its own and take control almost like fingers or hands, and be able to come in and grab Harry, or to wrap around his arm, for example. So part of it is the adjustment of how the cloth could flow, and then the other part is kind of integrating all of that, rendering it and getting it to look like a deteriorated fabric.
They needed to look more weather-beaten, more destroyed. We kept tearing the cloth a little bit more, putting more worn spots on the cloth, more rips, more tattered edges. Because they're covered up, because you don't see much of their body, we really did pay a lot of attention to the quality and look of all of that cloth.
There's a sequence where the Dementor actually picks up Harry and shoves him up against the wall. So there's a few shots where the Dementor actually has him by the neck and he's holding him up on the wall. So that's sort of the tightest interaction that we have with them.
Their interaction with the character this close to camera, that's always a little bit tricky to do. Our animators were really great about keying off of Harry's movements, the actor's movements in the plate, to try and keep that hand attached to the neck.
They actually just choreographed that on set. They kind of stuck him up on a rig that mounted Harry from behind onto the wall, and he just kind of acted like he was being choked. Much of the work came afterwards, where we had to very tightly match move Harry's neck and chin and then put the Dementor hand onto that.
It was actually fun to get to revisit these characters, because I didn't work on that film that the Dementors appeared in. So they were one of the creatures that I always really liked, so I was glad to see them come back.